Hi, I'm Stephanie Grappling with Manatee Educational Television. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're here at the 10th anniversary rescreening of Through the Tunnel. We'll be speaking today with the alumni of Lincoln Memorial High School, faculty, and the filmmakers. We have so much to tell you today about this historical documentary, so stay tuned. I'm here with Gwendolyn McElroy. We're at the 10th anniversary of Through the Tunnel. Gwendolyn, tell me a little bit about your experience with Lincoln Memorial.
I'm from the last graduating class of Lincoln Memorial High School, gone but not forgotten. 50 years later, I worked at Lincoln, and I'm still at Lincoln. I worked in the office during my junior and senior year. Then I got married, had a child. I came back, and I've been there for 48 years now. This is my 48th year as a school registrar at Lincoln Middle School.
What does it mean to you to see throughout that 50 years how much it has progressed and how much further we really have to go in Manatee County?
We still have a long ways to go.
Yes.
It's still not what it should be, and I don't know whether it's going to be in my generation or generations to come that we will finally see what Dr. King was talking about. So I see so many different things now. I see the difference in the children nowadays and the children when we were there. 50 years later, they're still concerned about school. The teachers love the students, and they're just the same way they were when we were coming up. So I really, really see a difference. Maybe the kids are not as motivated as we were because we had a lot to go through. We had a lot of challenges. There were so many things that we didn't have that the other schools did have. There were so many times we wondered why, because we were just fine where we were. This integration, it was bitter and it was sweet. We just didn't know how to deal with it at time. And today, I see all the black children, the Latino children, the white children, they're just one big family now. We had to grow into that, but it came with them through the time.
Children are so innocent
Yes,
these days. They just play and love one another for who they are.
Right. And we are always taught that it's a learned behavior. You know,
Absolutely.
Children are innocent, as you said. They don't know anything about the prejudice that we saw. But now it's getting better, and we just praise and thank God that it's different now, and hopefully it's going to get better. It's not there yet, not completely, but 50 years later, we're seeing some results.
Well, thank you so much. We're excited to have you here and excited to hear what you have to say on the film as well.
Well, we're excited to be here. 10 years later, after this documentary, we did an epilogue on it, and hopefully it's going to turn out great. We just thank you.
Well, stay tuned for more on that. I'm here at Through the Tunnel with a very special guest, Essek, who is the voice of the movie.
Good evening. My name is Moody Johnson. I'm Rosa Mae's son and Snake's boy from Palmetto, Florida, which is a garden spot of the South, gateway to the booming North, where men and women are proud of it. I got dirt between my toes. I got a sand spur on my heel. I can run through the grove backwards, spit a seed on the bank, and watch the tree grow. Do you know what my favorite meal happens to be?
I do not.
Buzzard lips and mosquito hips smothered down in termite rice and grapefruit gravy, but none of that crap will matter then. Just tell the whole world old Nap Eddie Moody Johnson truly, truly love the Lord.
I can guarantee you that is not the first time he has said that.
It is not, indeed. I am the class of 1965 from Lincoln Memorial High School.
It is a pleasure and an honor to meet you and to have you here tonight, sir.
It's an honor to represent the Trojan Nation. We thank you guys for allowing us this opportunity to spread the wealth and celebrate our 10th anniversary for the Through the Tunnel experience.
Absolutely. Tell me something that you would want somebody in the audience to take away from if this was their first time seeing this film.
This film is dedicated to not only the athletic part of Lincoln Memorial High School in Palmetto, Florida, but we have academias, guys that have accomplished doctors, lawyers, pilots. We were well-rounded and well-prepared while we experienced the learning process at Lincoln Memorial High School because of the dedication of our parents, full parents, and our teachers and the staff. Not just the teachers, I'm talking about from the custodians to the cafeteria, all of them were instrumental in our development in life. And I would not be here today to be able to speak the way I speak without my English teachers, of course.
In retrospect, it's been 10 years since this film has originally come out. So is there anything that you would like to say about in the last 10 years about this film?
Well, yes, starting at the film festival in Miami, which was great exposure for us. And then as we celebrated with the people seeing it on TV and on DVDs, we got more exposure and they said, wow, they were proud, especially those Lincoln Memorial High School alumni that were not local. And I got people calls from Texas and every place else that have had this experience and shared with us the joy that they feel when they see Through the Tunnel celebrating Lincoln Memorial High School.
Powerful camaraderie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We're here with Ed Henley, current president of Lincoln Memorial. Ed, tell me about your experience as the president of this school and how it impacts the history, how it currently impacts you and your students.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be selected to take over as principal of Lincoln Memorial Middle School about 4 years ago. I had some idea and understanding about the rich tradition and culture, but once I became the school leader, I was very much pleased to learn the rest of the backstory. I had historians such as Miss McElroy and Mr. Moody Johnson to help me fill in the blanks. It was at that time that I became extremely concerned about making sure that legacy continued, that legacy of excellence, that legacy of taking care of themselves as they had to do when they were Lincoln Memorial High. So over those 4 years, we infused programs such as requiring our incoming freshmen to watch Through the Tunnel. We bring the alumni in to speak to them. And most recently, we've converted to a charter school, and a big portion of the motivation for that was ensuring that a legacy such as this doesn't fade or go away.
Tell me about how your students reflect on seeing a film like this.
Well, they enjoy it for a number of reasons. A big part of it is Lincoln is still a community school, so many of these students get to see their grandparents or great-grandparents in the film. You know, they're walking around with legends and they don't even really know it. And then when we have them come in and speak, the kids are really captivated by some of the stories. And it repeats itself. We're in the conversion, we're bringing back tackle football. So now it looks like we'll be able to bring our version of Through the Tunnel to light, because our students will be going across and playing at Lincoln Park in a year or so. They're going to redo the field and our kids will have their chance to go through the tunnel. So it's very exciting.
What a wonderful glimmer of hope for these upcoming students.
Absolutely. We're excited.
Well, wonderful to have you here tonight at this 10th screening anniversary, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you.
I'm here with Charlie Kennedy. He's a current Manatee County School Board member. Charlie, tell me about your involvement and the history in Manatee County.
Sure. Well, I arrived in Manatee County in 2004 when I started teaching at Manatee High School, and it didn't take long before I learned of the legend of Coach Eddie Shannon. Reggie Bellamy was a good friend and fellow basketball coach on campus at that time, and he grew up under Coach Shannon. And there's a lot of young people and young men in Palmetto and Manatee in Bradenton, who you can tell that they came up under an incredible figure who still is to this day, Coach Shannon. So it was interesting, though, being at Manatee at that time. There was still a lot of people on the faculty at Manatee who had either been teachers there or had been students at the time of when Lincoln, when Manatee High School was desegregated. And as you can imagine, in 1969, it was a contentious time for desegregation, and Coach Shannon was that figure in the middle who kind of was the glue that brought everybody together. And but on the Lincoln side, I mean, there's so much history at that campus that it's been through so much, and it continues to this day. It is, converting to a charter to serve the kids of that neighborhood and to serve that community. So it just, there's a lot of history in the past, and there's a lot of history to come. So this is just
certainly important to preserve that history that's so rich in Manatee County for the next generation to understand where they've come from and where we're going.
Well, it's true. When this film first came out, I had just been teaching a few years, but when the film came out, the kids that I was teaching at the time, who are now in their mid to late 20s, even then they're like, wow, I didn't even know any of this happened. So I'm glad that the film is getting another run here 10 years later.
Sure.
So this generation of teenagers can see, what their parents and what their grandparents had to deal with and the struggles that they've been through. And because sometimes I think, not just kids today, but I think all of us forget, what our role models had to go through and the sacrifices that had to be made so that we could be where we are now.
Certainly. Personally speaking, I'm a millennial Generation X cusper, and I've never experienced that, but I know that that's a rich part of our American history, an ugly part of our American history.
Yeah.
But it's, through films like this that it reminds us how far that we've come, and yet we still have so much further to go.
We do, and unfortunately, even today in 2018, we have political forces at work that are still kind of preying off some of those old fears and reviving some of those old animosities, and it's not going to go away. And it takes people like Coach Shannon, and it takes films like this to remind us of where we have been and how much work we still need to do. I mean, sometimes we feel like we're there, and we've made a lot of improvements, but we still have a long way to go.
Well, we appreciate your commitment to making sure Manatee County is one of the best school systems in Florida.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. I'm here with the legendary Coach Eddie Shannon. Coach, tell me what it means to be here tonight on the 10th anniversary of the filming.
Well, it's one of the greatest things that have happened to me over a series of time. I've been everywhere and saw a whole lot of things and had a chance to be interviewed, but it's one of the greatest times I have had a chance to show up because so many people here that have grown old that I taught when I was young. So now I'm old and they're trying to catch up with me.
What would you like to say about the next generation of students in Manatee County who are able to watch this film at Lincoln Memorial?
Well, I will tell them this. If they go into college or going to school or going to get old, if they going to play ball, most of them going to try and play ball so they can go further. But they got to be hostile, agile, and mobile, because the coach going to tell them to ask no quarter and give no quarter and kill a mosquito with an axe.
What would you want to say to somebody in the audience tonight who's never seen this film before, a takeaway from seeing this film for the very first time?
If they have never seen this film, I want them to look at it and enjoy it, because it's way back during the days when we used to walk the streets of dirt. Wasn't no sidewalk, wasn't no paved highways of any of that. But they'll see how far Manatee County have grown since that day. So it's going to be a pleasure for them to see from back during the days of walking dusty streets to being able to walk sidewalks and paved streets.
What does it mean to you from 1969 to now we are in 2018 that we have a African American superintendent, Dr. Diana Green, overseeing the school system in Manatee County?
It's a pleasure for me to do that, and it's a good sight, because once before, if I go all the way back to where I was, we didn't have a school. We had to go to school in church houses when I was coming up. And to see now, got superintendents, teachers, and good government and all of that around our campus, and we have a schoolhouse that we can go to instead of going to the church house. It gives me a pleasure to see that, because it's a beautiful scene.
Well, you are certainly a legend in this community. You have inspired many, many people, if not thousands, and generations yet to come. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Let me tell you something. I feel real blessed because I had a lady that I coached, Thea Gibson. She was one of the greatest athletes that I've ever coached. She went all the way to Wilmington to play tennis. And not too long ago, I had a chance to see her before she passed away. And it gives me a pleasure to understand that you can coach a person that long ago and meet them again and get a chance to talk to them, and they thank you for what they have done. Now, I always tell my guys before I go, if you're going to still play ball for me, you got to be hostile, agile, and mobile. And we're going to ask no quarter and give no quarter. We're going to kill that same mosquito with that axe.
Excellent words of wisdom to live by. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm here with Manatee County Commissioners
And staff.
We have a whole group of everybody. If we could go down the line, introduce ourselves, and say a quick word.
Ray Dowling, congratulations, and it's exciting to be here.
Carol Whitmore, one of the county commissioners, and we wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Betsy Benak. I'm a Manatee County Commissioner. We're so proud of our METV team. They've done a wonderful job, and our Charles Clapsaddle, we're so glad to be here helping him celebrate his 10th anniversary, this great celebration.
Commissioner Priscilla Trace, just very happy, so proud of Charles, and this is a tremendous movie, and he deserves all the credit he can get and all the applause he can get.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hunsaker, Director of Parks and Natural Resources. Very pleased to be part of the history of the tunnel and the investments that the county is going to be making to match it, and we're here excited to see this movie.
I'm Susan Hunsaker, Charlie's wife, and I'm very happy to be here to see the re-release of Through the Tunnel.
I'm Lucy Malakis. I'm Betsy Benak's sister, and I'm excited to be here to see this today.
Well, how exciting to have support from so many of our elected officials here in Manatee County. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay, Charles!
Well, that about wraps it up for the 10th anniversary rescreening of Through the Tunnel at the Sarasota Film Festival. We hope you enjoyed the program, hearing from all of the past alumni, from the elected officials, and from Judge Charles Williams. Thank you so much for watching this evening. I'm Stephanie Gruppling, and thank you for watching Manatee Educational Television. Hi, I'm Stephanie Gruppling with Manatee Educational Television. We're here back again at Ovation Hotel at the Sarasota Film Festival at the premiere of Facing Mental Illness, a movie inspired by Kerry Seidman. Talking to all the participants, we'll be talking to the filmmakers and some of the participants about their involvement and destigmatization of mental illness. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. I'm here with Judge Charles Williams at the premiere of Facing Mental Illness. Judge, tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this project.
Well, it's an interesting story. Actually, this is one of the first projects that I've been involved with which wasn't one of my own or created by a team that I work with. Kerry Seidman of the Herald Tribune, Sarasota Herald Tribune, did a series of articles called Facing Mental Illness, where the concept was to use art to help people who suffered from mental illness give self-portraits. It's sort of a therapy for them. And she approached actually Charles Clapsaddle of Manatee Educational Television, who brought BTN Films, which is the nonprofit that I'm familiar with, and myself and Judge Adams into the project to assist Kerry in putting her project on film.
Oh, wow. So this film is all about the journey of each one of these different patients?
Well, actually it tells the story of the project. The project had a singular mission. That was to recruit people who suffered from mental illness who were willing to be a part of it, to recruit teachers and volunteers who would be a part of it. And ultimately what would happen is that these people who suffered from mental illness would be given art instruction, very rudimentary art instruction, with the goal that at some point they would be able to have a public display of their art. And this took over almost a year period. And so what we try to do is chronicle the beginning of the story all the way to the culmination of the story, which is a huge art exhibit that's done at Selby Library here in Sarasota at the end of the project.
Wow, what a culmination of some powerful emotions for each one of these individuals, I'm sure.
It was, and for many people this is the first time they had a chance publicly to talk about their illness. And also the art was quite remarkable. Some of it very, very good. Some of it, I think, gallery quality, and that is portrayed, no pun intended, in the film.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see it.
Well, hopefully everyone will enjoy it and get out of it as much as what we did.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm here at the premiere of Facing Mental Illness with Judge Durand Adams. Tell me about why you're here today.
We had the good fortune to be asked to be involved in a project that Kerry Seidman was working on, that she created, about mental illness, and she contacted our production company and asked if we would do a documentary film about it. We did. It turned out to be very good, and we're very grateful that she got us involved in this project.
If there's a member of the audience today that is suffering from mental illness, what is one thing that you would like them to take away from this film?
That there has to be a destigmatization of mental illness, that we should be much more accepting of people who are suffering from mental illness than we have been in the past.
Can you tell me a little bit about the creative process? I know it was a year-long project.
Ordinarily, when we do this is our 6th documentary film that we've produced. So ordinarily when we do a documentary film, we come up with a subject and we come up with a concept, and then we write a script, and then we go out and we film it. This was fundamentally different because we were actually documenting a project from beginning to end. So we would show up at the various moments that the project was being actually created, and we would film what was going on. And then we had to go from there and turn that into a story.
And everybody has a different story to tell.
Everybody has a different story, and they're all important. And they all deserve to be heard.
That's very true. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
I'm here with Robin and Lenny, who are featured in Facing Mental Illness, premiered at the Sarasota Film Festival. Robin, tell me how you got involved in this project.
Well, Kerry Seidman contacted us because we had done a comic strip called Our Mad Life, and she did a piece in the paper on that, and then she told us about the Facing Mental Illness project, and we got involved with that too. Yeah.
Lenny, tell me a little bit about how this project started.
Was Kerry's, what I understand is Kerry's mission to kind of have people with mental illness be able to express themselves through artwork, through self-portraits. This is something that was really important to me because I'm an artist, and I'm doing a self-portrait is very, I do a lot of them. It's a very meaningful part of my self-expression. One of the things that I really like is it helped me see my story in terms of how it could help other people. Like I've since being diagnosed, a lot of things have changed in my life, and finding some sense of meaning and purpose to kind of grow and do something with my life that's meaningful and important. This project has helped me see that there's a possibility there. Yeah.
Did you find a sense of community, bonding with other people facing the same types of issues?
Oh yeah. There's several of the project participants that we've become friends with and hung out with and stuff like that. Yeah.
That had to have been a great bonding experience.
Yeah, and it was good because I was relatively new to Sarasota and Florida, and so it was just a really nice way for me to get sort of involved in the community and feel more at home.
And probably made some friends as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, totally.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little piece of your story. I know everybody's looking forward to seeing the movie today. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm here with Kerry Seidman. Kerry, tell me what this means to you. This is a big day. This is the premiere of your film.
Well, what means more to me is it's kind of a reunion for all the people that were in the project. We haven't all seen each other for several months, and this whole project is all about them and them being brave enough to come forward and tell their stories. And for me, this is just an occasion to celebrate them.
Certainly, there is a stigma in the world that still exists about mental illness, and it's not a choice. What would you like to tell the public about that stigma and trying to break down that barrier?
Well, I think it takes people like the brave people in this project telling their stories and coming forward and not being ashamed of the fact that they have mental health challenges. It takes more of that, and this is a beginning. We'd love to see this replicated in communities all across the country.
For the audience members today that sit and watch your film, what do you want them to take away today?
I don't know that I have a specific message. I think that they will be in awe of the people who participated in the project, and hopefully if if they've had misconceptions about mental illness, this will help open their eyes a little bit to the value of all the people who struggle with these challenges.
Has it empowered the people that have participated in this project?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I think it was empowering for many people to come out of the shadows and show their talents. As you know, there was an art component to the project, and we had some phenomenal artists and self-portraits they created. So I think as much that was part of it, and the other part of it was we all became really great friends, and we all supported each other. And one thing that I learned through the project is that if you have a mental health challenge, a very important aspect is that you have support. So
certainly, a community of support is very important.
Exactly.
Well, I am so excited. I won't hold you any longer. It's almost time for showtime. Very lovely to meet you, Kerry.
Thank you. Great to meet you too, Stephanie.
I'm here with Dan Austin, one of the art participants at the premiere of Facing Mental Illness. Dan, tell me how you got involved in this wonderful, wonderful film and project.
Kerry. It all really goes back to Kerry and the fact that she's so passionate about mental illness, and the experiences that she's had, both personally and with her son, are just amazing. So yeah, she is definitely the one, the impetus, the spark of all of this.
Tell me about your journey. Before, during, and after this project?
My journey. I think it's really important that people who live with a mental illness, as much as possible, are able to talk about what their experience is. Because the more we can talk about it, the more other people are going to be able to talk about their issues. When the article first came out that Kerry wrote about me, it was amazing going to business networking events and how many people I knew that would come up to me and say, thank you so much for what you've done. Thank you so much for talking about what you go through. Thank you so much for giving me the courage to also talk about it.
It's definitely has a stigma, mental illness, that a lot of other diseases don't have. So the more that brave people like you talk about it, the more the stigma is broken down. So thank you for being who you are.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Keaton and Kris, two of the participants of the movie Facing Mental Illness. Keaton, you are Kerry's son.
Yes, that's correct. I am.
And you were a big part of her inspiration behind her motivation and passion behind this film, and being that determination to get the word out about the stigma against mental illness.
Correct. Yes. And I mean, it was more, she also inspired myself to be, work out my life and change into a better human being, and to continue to progress into doing good and stay on the right track.
And I understand you gentlemen both created the music in this film. Kris, tell me a little bit about the Jazzberries.
Oh well, we do our best to come up with a lot of creative stuff for ourselves within the medium, within the idiom of jazz. So yeah, it's good to find ourselves, within that structure. But this community is very vibrant, with the arts and music. A lot of people with a lot of power, and the mental health situation here, I think, is ideal, and it's to be looked up to for the rest of the states, the world, other cities. They're really doing a good job here.
It's very powerful. So how do you guys get inspired? Have you always been musicians?
Yeah, I actually, myself, I played piano all the way through high school. I didn't really get serious until after college. And I mean, when I was in high school, I listened to Dave Brubeck, and I was like, yep, I'm going to be a jazz musician, and been playing ever since. And when I met Kris, he's a very talented bass player as well.
And Kris, what about you?
Well, I actually started when I was 9 with Julie Rohr. Julie Rohr had a boys choir. I was there 4 years, and we toured around, and it really opened up my world to a lot of professional music. I was in the youth orchestra for a little while, which was very interesting. That was really opened a lot of doors for me. And I picked up in jazz from USF, so I studied jazz there, and it's really kind of rounded me out. So
both very well-rounded artists and musicians.
There's a lot to take advantage of here. So.
Certainly in the culture of Sarasota, there's a lot of arts and a lot of people who can appreciate your artistry, for sure. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm here with Gladys Polo, and we have just walked out of the premiere of Facing Mental Illness. Gladys, what are your thoughts walking out of the film?
Well, this is a different aspect of mental illness that I've ever seen, where something was trying to be done in a different way. All I remember is my mother on all kinds of medication. She was good for a while, bad for a while, never worked for a long, and I always thought it was a chemical imbalance. And I think that's really what, she was very bright when she was well, which was for a couple of months. She'd be high and happy and call me, and everything was great. When she was sad, she was suicidal. I mean, that was the difference. And she was high and low. She was on every medication you could think of, shock treatments at the time, which they stopped for a while, and then years later they went back to it. So she went through everything, and nothing really did it for long term. So there was never really an answer to her being well for a long period of time.
So this movie really hit home for you?
It really, but here I see something different. Whether this would have been anything that worked, I don't know, maybe when it was more enlightening because more people knew about it and more people accepted that this is a condition of life.
Sure.
For a lot of people.
Sure.
For a lot of people. But that's all I remember. If she was going to the hospital, and I'd go stay with relatives for a month at a time or 2 months at a time. When she came back, she'd be on a medication, and she'd be okay for a while. As I said, she was very bright. She was a great mom, or tried to be. And that's my experience with mental illness at the time. It was a long time ago, you know.
Gladys, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I was just reading one of the blurbs on one of the paintings, and I said, that's exactly how my mother felt. It really expressed it, so I was sort of emotional.
Well, that about wraps it up for Facing Mental Illness. We hope you enjoyed today's program, hearing from some of the participants and some of the attendees today. We hope you stay tuned because we have lots more to come from the Sarasota Film Festival. I'm Stephanie Gruppling. Thank you so much for joining us.